Welcome back, everyone. It's been quite a day here in the APAC region with a lot of our teams, specifically the LA Valiants, coming out of a very close series. But we still got one great series coming up soon. Trid, yes, you see that correctly, by the way. That's the LA Valiants winning a Map 5 opportunity against the Hunters. Insane. But now we got something else coming up soon. It's gonna be the Fusion versus the Dynasty. And now we've seen exactly what the Seoul Dynasty have been able to do so far in this stage. They've been dominating alongside the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, Seoul Dynasty have not really missed a beat. They've not dropped a map yet. So they've got like basically a golden record on the go that may be disrupted today, but probably going to be disrupted tomorrow when they go up against the Shanghai Dragons to close out the stage qualifiers. Let's take a look at the Fusion starting lineup, though. I am one of these people who have been sitting here listening to the absolute rabble, the corral, the heckle of Fusion fans going, "Where's MN3?" Well, here he is. He's in the starting lineup today. Carpe's not starting for the Fusion. MN3 is with Zest, Fury, AimGod, and Fixer. So please be quiet. Stop asking me where MN3 is. He's right here.
It said they're going to be focusing on if one map could at least be clutched up from the Fusion, especially against the likes of the Seoul Dynasty. Looking at the startup lineup of the Fusion, though, MN3 is here. Zest, Fury, AimGod, and Fixa. Zest been one of my favorite players to look at so far in the APAC region. Zest has just been an absolute standout rookie player since day one, honestly. I was talking a little bit about it to Avril off camera about what type of player Zest is. Probably one of the more stronger Genji players here in the APAC region. But it's insane to be able to see the Fusion struggle a bit here as we get to take a look at the Seoul Dynasty, because it's no easy feat to deal with a team that has not dropped a map yet. Now looking at the starting lineup here of the Dynasty, Trid, do you have faith in the Fusion after looking at how Stalker, Fitz, Smurf, Prophet, and Vin Dame have been doing?
I have absolutely zero confidence in the today, unfortunately. And that's not because the Fusion, I don't think the Fusion are necessarily playing poorly. I think it's just this roster is cracked. There has been some mad science in the Genji compound for the Seoul Dynasty over in Korea to be able to put this absolute Giga Chad unit of muscle-bound freaks together. Stalker, Fitz, Smurf, Prophet, Vin Dame. Like, Prophet's just having a whale of a time on support right now. Loving life. Let him let him do what he wants to do. This Dynasty roster in this meta right now is terrifying. I would not be surprised if tomorrow when they meet the other raid boss of the region that they still come out with the dub and end up on the top heading into the actual tournament of the Summer Showdown. There is a lot to be terrified of in this roster, and I feel like the Fusion should be aware of that, but should still go in with some level of confidence. I think Fusion on a good day, touch wood, it's a good day today for Fusion fans, can catch someone like Seoul if they're playing silly. Whether they do or not, completely different story. I think everyone should be going into this series though with the expectation that the Seoul Dynasty are going to win. And as Vicky said, the map difference is still very important. So we should be paying attention to how many maps Fusion can take away from the Dynasty. If for some strange reason we're in Bizarro World today and the Philadelphia Fusion beat the Seoul Dynasty, I think we can let BP off of having to shave his head. I think we can let Bad Pajamari off with that one. I don't think he should do it if they can beat Dynasty. I think we should give him forgiveness. Amnesty.
That would be insane, because again, like, to put it into perspective, the Dynasty have not dropped a single game so far in this stage, just like the Dragons. Currently, I believe they are 12-0 in maps for the stage, so, and they're currently sitting in #1 in the overall standings in the East. They've had a really good look at this team, and so I'm expecting this to be a dominating performance from them. But like you were mentioning before, we were looking about it during the break briefly. The Fusion right now, just after that last series with their Valiant taking over the Hunters, that sets the Hunters up to be sitting at 2-4 at this point, with a 6-point map difference in comparison to what we have to see from the Fusion. They lose this, they'll be at 1-4. Tied up basically with the Spark, and then the biggest series that we would have on our hands to determine what happens to the Hunters would ultimately be up to the series happening tomorrow between the Fusion and the Spark. So a lot on the line here. If they could take one map trend and not only stop that just domination from the
golden
Dynasty.
Stage, yeah.
Yeah, the golden stage here for the Dynasty, they themselves will be in a very good position when they have to play against the Spark.
Yeah, we're going to be kicking things off on Oasis today as our first map. It's one we're getting a lot of airtime with in this particular week. After that, really, we're going to have to say how the series pans out. I think that most of the time with the Seoul Dynasty, we're probably going to see meta, we're going to see conventional. Question I have around MN3. So there was moments where MN3 would come in and just play Ashe. But we have seen MN3 also come into the map and just play Sojourn. Does just foregoing Carpe this week basically mean they're probably more likely to take the Ashe flavor? Or are they just feeling MN3 a little bit more than Carpe right now? That's what I would like to work out, because there used to be a period where MN3 would come in and we'd just be like, oh, it just means they're going to play Ashe. It's not always the case now.
I feel like we could expect the Ashe, especially looking at how our other teams have been integrating the Ashe on specific maps. Looking at the last series that Philly had to deal with in that Game 5 opportunity where didn't they get reverse swept against the Charge? I think they were up 2 maps first, then the reverse sweep came in from the Charge. Kind of doing what Philly does best in that situation, unfortunately, where the most expected thing from Philly to do, they did. And I think changing things up is going to do them justice, because they understand how strong Seoul is as a team. They know that the best thing that they could do is at least get a map, because again, this team is just dominating right now, so it's not bad for Philly to test things out to then prepare for their next series, which would be against the Shock.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call the Dynasty a warm-up match. Like, I don't think
them testing things out. No, them testing things out.
You're testing things out against an opponent you don't have to play against. Who's on another level. Yeah. I think if you're testing things out against Dynasty, you're basically throwing.
We've seen that before. That's my take. We saw something similar from the Valiant yesterday against the Dragons. Yeah. When they wanted to test things out themselves, because these two teams, we highlighted before, they're on a different level, Trid. The Dynasty and the Dragons are completely separated from the rest of the pack in 8-pack. So if you are trying to bank on being able to get at least closer there, that one map could mean everything. As we get started already here, not wasting any time, Smurf taking a good amount of that damage already and trying to control the high ground.
Unsurprising. MN3 is rolling out on the Sojourn as well, so we're not seeing the Ashe flavor just to begin with. Sojourn definitely fits in a lot more of this team would be playing throughout the series, I imagine. Good little dinks there coming in from Stalker, who's having a wonderful time in his meta on the Genji with how pivotal it is. Vindame taking a bit of damage, but escorting himself out of that central point. Point is unlocked, and that's where the conflict is going to be for the time being.
Smurf in the middle. Smurf gonna get dashed into by Zest. Smurf already going down here. The reason why I highlighted Zest, we've been seeing him pop off with the rest of the Fusion. Stalker going low, gonna go down as well. And already a good look right now for the Fusion in terms of Zest just dominating the front lines currently against the Dynasty.
Relatively clean fight win as well for the Philadelphia Fusion, getting that first cap, locking it in. All off the back of that first pick against Smurf. He went down incredibly low, wasn't able to get the support you'd expect from Prophet and Vindame, and it was easy for Zest to commit the dash knowing they get the reset to then get back to safety. From there, 5v4, space is claimed, and just start picking off the bodies. Fitz did sneak a cheeky little headshot in with the railgun to stem the flow, but 1 kill against the 5 that came in isn't really going to do much. Fusion have 20%, they're now building that ult charge. Rally is about to come online for Aim God, but Prophet is not too far behind him.
Oh God, really close right here. Stalker 2 with some poke pressure over to the side. Here comes that rally from Aim God now to help Fusion move forward. Have the opportunity, but Vindame answering right back with the sound barrier. Now the Dynasty can move forward. Prophet gets MN3 in the process. They trade both Sojourns now, and Prophet utilizing that rally, basically trading the support ults like we had seen before. The blade now from Zest, as he's going to be laid passively around Fitz here, as he's going to be able to make his way back. The rest of the Dynasty are going to show that respect to Zest, but this means that they won't be able to touch that toe on the point. Stalker though does get Fury, that's huge.
They didn't get enough from Zest's Blaze. There was a great disengage from the Seoul Dynasty there. They had beat overlap with Fixer. They had the Blade as well. That was their moment to go hyper-aggressive and really capitalize. Didn't really get anything from it apart from space. And with no support ultimates on the board, it means Stalker has free roam to pull out this Blade and just assassinate people on the Fusion. So yeah, that should have been a one Philly fight based on where things were at currently, but Seoul Dynasty able to weather the storm and go out on a big counter to get the flip.
68% though in favor for the Fusion, and they're about to move in with that Rampage as well as that overclock from MN3. See Fizz is right there to match that, especially with this position that they're currently trying to sit at. See Zest is trying to take a little off angle right here too to control that top end of the bridge. Smurf falling low. Here comes the Rampage right now though. Trade Smurf Fitz getting caught in the middle of it.
Yeah, big slam into Fitz, but they will sustain through it after the anti-heal side. Stalker on life support right now. Needs some healing from somewhere. Vindame also in name of the same assistance as Fitz is going to open it up with the overclock. Can't find the angle. Sightlines quite deterred for the time being. Moves around to rotate the fight and find Fury. Good dash through there. Rampage finds the backline. Fury's already going to go down. The supports aren't able to heal each other. That's another one fight for the Seoul Dynasty.
And already evening things out too. It just took those 2 team fights too, as well as cycling through those ults with that Rampage, clearing things up. Now the Dynasty will still have that rally in their name, as well as a sound barrier coming up from Vindame as the Fusion. They're about to get the Zest Blade coming in, as well as the rally, but they did use that Rampage in that last fight. It did find 2, but unfortunately the Dynasty were able to hold them going.
Getting into that final fight territory now. Rally. Tempo. Angor's going to answer his back. Zest will get that Blade online before Stalker needs to have more impact than they've had so far on this round if they want to take the first blood against the Dynasty. Vindame does have beat. That's going to be a good negation tool ready for when that comes online. We don't really have to worry about Junker Queen ultimates coming into play. I think Zest's going to use a dash, get himself up and above the fight, drop down with that Blade. It's going to come any second now, Vicky.
Big deal here as overtime has been activated, 99% in favor of the Dynasty, and Vindame is really up to him to help to stabilize everybody. Here comes Zest though with the Fixa. Sound barrier is going to allow Zest to move forward with the Blade. Does he get that outcome that he wants? But no. Here you have Fitz and Prophet though going down, Aim God and Fury moving forward. It's about the space that was cleared right there from Zest to allow the rest of the Fusion to not only clear the point, but being able to flip it.
It's the space and it's the attention, Vicky. Didn't have to get kills when everyone's paying attention to you. They're not paying attention to your teammates. Does allow the mistakes to be made there. And now Fusion will go into the final fight territory. Dynasty win. They're already sat at 99%. Stalker gonna have that Blade. They need to be able to shut down this Genji. If Stalker gets the Blade online, they're gonna be relatively uncontested when it comes to support ultimates. Looking for MN3 to show some value here, maybe get a cheeky pop-off with the railgun and kill the Dynasty push before it even happens.
Here comes the overtime now. Fusion 99% here to match that with the Dynasty. See, MN3 needs to get the pop-off situation with the overclock with these charged railguns. Now he's going to be able to move in with Fitz going down though. This is the opportunity. Fusion now coming out on top of this team fight. Stalker's opportunity to shine though. He gets aimed up but gets shut down immediately by Fury. Yup, the Dynasty now are exiting their way out of this round. And now the Fusion already ahead in terms of this first map.
So much work there was done by the front line of the Philadelphia Fusion. By the time MN3 pops the overclock, it gets into position. They're so low, he could breathe on them and get those kills. Not only did he only have a low bar there, gets a flick shot onto Vindame, takes him out of the fight altogether. By the time Stalker came online and used the Blade, you were already 2 members down. Stalker was only able to claim 1 before the rest of the team imploded in on itself. Philadelphia Fusion did a fantastic job there going on the counterattack and securing the first round. That is the first blood of this series. There is still plenty more to go. Seoul Dynasty do not want to give up their winless stage just yet. Expect them to come back hard, but Philadelphia Fusion, they're impressing me right now, Vicky.
They're playing this so well with MN3 positioning himself over to the sidelines. Zest opening things up. We have MN3 already taking the lead here in that front choke point, but here over to the side right now, you see Zest trying to skirmish Prophet as well as Vindane right there. Help out Stalker a little bit. No overextension instead of Zest just trying to dive in, having that opportunity. Fix is also right there, trying to bait them over to the side to see if he can get a boot.
Fix needs to back out of that one, giving a little bit too much attention for their liking. Points now unlocked. Dynasty have that position. not concretely. Now giving it over to the Fusion, who've got 2 bodies on the point. Someone's going to need to step and contest it. You don't want to let them get passive victory at this point. Shogun's thrown, Stalker can't keep up with Zest. Zest having to use the deflect, doesn't have that defensive option, will back off. MN3 paying attention to the front line. Stalker just can't find a route of ingress here, constantly being checked by Fury, and finally Zest comes in to clear him away. And that puts Dynasty on the back foot. Philadelphia Fusion get the first cap.
The Fusion are going to be able to hold up a little bit, force the Dynasty to give their respects. Gonna wait out on Stalker. Love the follow-up that we saw between Fury and Zest right there. Zest also just moving up just ever so slightly without having to overextend at the same time, build more into that blade.
It's fine, just play at distance now. They don't have to really overcommit to the point that much. But passively accrue for them. Let's take a look at how ult charges distributed above the board. Philadelphia Fusion aren't sailing ahead of the Seoul Dynasty. Should see them come online relatively the same time. Will mean there'll have to be some trade-offs here. You'll have to try and burn some resources, see if you can force them out in other ways to find that true value. Vixer getting absolutely ambushed there by Prophet. Shield Bash locks him in place. And this is Dynasty just completely neutral, just using the space, using tempo, and shutting down the Philadelphia Fusion. Zest and MN3 trying to kick back and show signs of life, but it will finally be laid to rest. Dynasty get the flip at 52%.
Nice little delay there, though, between MN3 and Zest. Both Aim God and Fixa getting caught out of position over to the side. At neutral being won over by the Dynasty. They needed that. Now they have the rally here ready, as well as the sound barrier for this next fight. But most importantly, you have Stalker and that Blade, as well as Fitz, who could actually allow Stalker to split that attention and Fitz to finish them off.
See how they utilize these blades. Rally used by Prophet. Stalker's going to use the extra armor to go in. Counter-attack comes in from Fixer. Beat finds all the members of the team. Now it's time for Zest to pull out the blade. Stalker's gone down a little bit earlier than the duration lasts. Zest, now it's time to shine. Turn the attention to Prophet. But it's Aim God to pick up the kill. They go on the hunt for more. 36% accrue for the Seoul Dynasty. The flip is going to be coming in now as the Fusion are dominating this fight.
Wow, off of that too, with Stalker trying to move in. That was also extremely expensive fight, but hearing now, by the way, something else to note. Zest was super close before the series started into hitting 1,000 elims. Well, officially, he has now hit that milestone. Zest, the first player in the East region to hit 1,000 final blows. Before this game, he was currently at 992, so congrats to Zest after that one. And that was on to Stalker, I believe.
And that was also in Zest's rookie season, which is even more impressive when you think about it, coming into the big league and suddenly having that kind of impact.
Beautiful here as MN3 gets Vindane out of here. Huge right there, as well with the overclock. Gets 2 onto Smurf. MN3, welcome here on the Sojourn. Now the rest of the Dynasty are falling through, and nobody really left to contest. The Fusion on their points, 98%, and counting, the overtime ticking away.
They have just absolutely dismantled it here.
Trid.
The golden stage
Trid.
interrupted by the Philadelphia Fusion.
The Fusion, they needed to take the map. The dream is alive here for this team, and they put a stop to the Dynasty and their reign over the APAC region for this stage.
This is not what I expected, but it is a pleasant surprise to be sure.
Oh man, what a way to conclude that on Oasis. That's the Fusion leading the map series so far. Map number 2 is going to be Hollywood, and that's going to be on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone, to our final series of the day. Currently, the Fusion have now stopped the Dynasty in their tracks. MN3 has made an appearance, Trid, and the Fusion take map number 1.
Map number 1 going the way of the Fusion was not the way I saw this series going. MN3 came in, had impact, immediately able to find some top shots, but it's Zest picking up their thousands of elimination, leading the charge on the Genji. It's really been the impact player for me on the Fusion so far. Expect to see more of that as we move into our next map. Hollywood, our next destination. Let's take a look at some zesty kills as we see how he climbed up to the 1,000 elims in this round.
A little sour for the Dynasty here. They had to deal with it, with Zest leading the front line here. But the way that MN3 at the very end came through was beautiful for the Fusion. Zest also just being able to rack up enough of those kills to solidify that 1K accolade as a rookie here for the league is always nice to see here. But let's just say, Trid, that the Dynasty reverse 3-0 the Fusion. The Fusion still walk away with that 1 map in their pocket. They go down 1-4 with that 5 map in total point difference in their pocket as well. They go against the Spark, who are currently sitting at 1-4 as well. They'd be tied up with the Spark, and the Fusion take it over the Spark. They would be able to take it over the Hunters. That would be crazy. If that ends up happening, that would be crazy. But this first map in their pocket away from the Dynasty is definitely a way to start that off, because that's going to make them feel extra motivated for their next series, which would be happening tomorrow against the Spark.
You've also just kicked the Hornet's Nest. I hope you have got protection for the Steam for that to happen. I mean, not to say that, you know, the Dynasty were holding anything back in that last round. But this is an unfamiliar position for the Dynasty to be in this stage, Vicky. Now, we wait to see the devastation that lies ahead of us. If the Fusion is still going to maintain on this form, though, I'd be seriously concerned about, less about your map losses for the Dynasty. Start paying attention to your match losses, because that can get rough tomorrow when you're playing against the Dragons.
Very true, actually. Especially since that was a series that we were looking at to see if, or which one of these teams were going to be first seed, because it's really for seeding purposes for that series, considering the fact that Seoul and Shanghai had already punched their ticket into the Summer Showdown a bit ago. Now going into this series, though, map number 2 here with Fusion up currently. Dynasty just getting ready, making some preparations to see what they got in store for us after what they just saw from Fusion.
Yeah, Fitz coming out with the Ash instead. MN3 still sticking on the Sojourn. Good shot there. Takes the damage dealers to less than 50%. Immediately causes some resources to be used. Not too intensive. Fitz has good angles on the payload. The rest of the team can maintain this position. This is a really good sightline for an Ash to occupy in the next couple of fights.
See Fitz over in that side room here too. Stalker as well, going to be able to dive right in, trying to find the opportunity to fix up Fellow just ever so slightly before restabilizing himself. So does Aim God now. Aim God gets taken out though by Prophet. MN3 does trade that though, finding that pick onto Smurf. Great first pick here, denying that Junker Queen, but Stalker is going to answer right back, taking away the Junker Queen from the Fusion. Fury going to be met in the spawn. Currently now, Point going to be able to get taken over as the Dynasty are going to be able to wrap around.
Great combo there from Stalker just to finish off MN3. The fight was already over at that point, though. You're really just trying to expend those last bodies, make sure they can't burn any more of the time bank. 5 minutes 20 to escort onto the next section of the map. Looking across the border, Ultimates. Fitz must have done a lot of work there, because Bob is joining us very early into this map.
Always nice to have another person out on the field with the rest of your team here. Fusion are on that high ground right now. You see Stalker trying to put in some of that pressure. Zest also close to his blade, but Stalker's a bit ahead of him for right now, as MN3 is playing from the low ground, just trying to split some of that attention for Stalker into the line of sight of Zest, but he gets dove in on, he gets taken out by Stalker, and now you see Zest now trying to get some revenge if he can have the opportunity, but Stalker makes him go low, and Prophet goes down. Fixa actually finding Stalker in that situation, with Fury also going down though. It's a trade for trade between the Fusion and the Dynasty, but less members here up for the Fusion, as currently Stalker is upset, and he is cleaning up shop against the Fusion.
and for his, I guess as a way of calming him down, soothing him, giving him his blankie in the form of a Dragon Blade, Stalker is ready to just pop that out and suddenly just start tearing through the Philadelphia Fusion. If he can find a way to get through Aim God and fixes both of their support ultimates, you got the beat and rally available for them. You might be able to dispose a couple of those and set up Smurf for a future fight.
Here with the Disruptor shot, and now Stalker with the Blade's gonna be able to dive in, but Zest answers right back as well as Vindane popped the sound barrier. Prophet still gets taken down. Fusion now still have the rally as Aim God's holding on to it with Prophet getting taken down. You see the Dynasty immediately trying to back up, understanding the Fusion have managed to hold that other corner.
Really big there from the target selection that Zest took out. Prophet died quite early into the rally as well, so didn't get the full duration. And it also means that Vindane came in too late with the beat to save them as well. Both support ultimates being used to maintain these fights that weren't actually going to be winnable for the Seoul Dynasty. And then Freeze popped the overclock and already putting it to work by finding Vindane. Can't find the sightlines to follow up into even more. So it's a 1-for-1 trade in that last skirmish. And the time bank is just being burnt down. Good tag there onto MN3 to really exert some pressure from Fitz. Dynamite over the top, but he's already healed up, so it's not going to be able to burn through him.
MN3 has put a target on his back between the Dynamite coming through from Fitz, Stalker as well with the deflect real quick. Fury and Aim God do have their ultimates online. Looking at that Rampage, but Smurf could easily match that as well as the Bob from Fitz. See Stalker now going to be able to back up just a little bit. Fitz having the Bob online is going to add that extra member. Here comes the Rampage, but Fury... he had the Rampage, he hit the Bob ever so slightly, but cost his own life for it. Now the Bob, Fitz going crazy, found Zest at the same time, finds Fixa. What impact from Fitz in that fight as they are able to get that next point.
Yeah, they got a stagger here. Fortunately, that's a JQ, isolated, it's a freebie for the Seoul Dynasty. Thankfully that happened while the payload wasn't exactly in motion, so to speak, but it does free up this early part of point C, making it difficult for Seoul Dynasty, difficult for Philadelphia Fusion to be able to stop this down. We're on the home stretch right now of point C. We've seen what happens, especially on Watchpoint Gibraltar with the Mr. Worldwide earlier. Big time banks don't always convert to wins. So this is looking promising for the Dynasty, but it surely is not going to be the end of this map, even if they are to win up this next game.
Comes the Rampage now. Big Rampage hitting 3 onto the Fusion. You see the rally from Aim God to negate that. Fury falling pretty low here, but Fury getting that Carnage hit onto Prophet's going to heal him up just ever so slightly. Is it going to be enough here? Zest goes down. Not enough of that damage trade going in between the Dynasty and the Fusion, and Stalker has just been running down on the Fusion again, cleaning them up. Really heavy momentum, as you can see. He's got the Blade, but he's pushing all the way up to deny MM3 that space.
Yeah, it's just easy cut-throughs as well. Just getting over to that last section of the map now. Stall it out and push it forward, get it into the final opening. Blade and beat for the Seoul Dynasty. No real answer on the side of the Fusion just yet. Fixer is about to get that beat online, so it will have to be the emergency option for them. I think it's the only thing that's going to help the Philadelphia Fusion weather Stalker's Blade.
Dave's also got that sound barrier. Now Stalker's going to be able to dive in with the Blade here. Fixa to answer that back, but not without Aim God dying first again. Unfortunate with MN3 hitting those shots onto Stalker. So consistent in shutting down Stalker when you need to here with the overclock, but it's not going to be enough. Still, the Dynasty are running amok, specifically Fitz, and they're going to be able to finally finish. Fitz going crazy with the Astrid.
Fitz going a little bit sicko mode at the end there. 2 minutes 15 left on the clock as well, so it's a pretty good time bank for the Seoul Dynasty to take through for completion. Philadelphia Fusion now on their offense. Fitz finding great value with the Ashe. I just wonder if he can bait MN3 into it as well. We know it's a comfort pick for them. Philadelphia Fusion has been enjoying the Sojourn, but you can't deny the prowess that this person has on the Ashe. Can they be tempted to go into the duel against Fitz? Will we get that clash of Ashes? I hope so. But I somehow think the Philadelphia Fusion are coming to this with the game plan that does not work consistently with what we would like to see.
They want to keep MN3 onto the Sojourn. And to be able to build off of this here, especially after that first map win. But Fitz, I mean, the impact that both Fitz and Stalker had right there was on another level. Stalker looked unstoppable, but Fitz was able to help clean up behind Stalker the moment that Stalker would try to go for an overextension on the dash. Now Fusion here. I'm going to be on the attack with the Dynasty. I'm try to wait and just get ready for their positioning. See what more Fitz could do here on this Ashe pick, especially with those Dynamite area controls. Like, he's been able to put down a lot of extra pressure with the tick damage that he puts down.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Cheeky pick from MM3 on the Widowmaker. Unsurprisingly, doesn't get anything, but it's always worth a shot. I'll get to the Golden Arch pretty quickly, and then Fitz is going to set up insecurity, see if we can find some off angles. Now, last time when Fitz was in this position, he was immediately aggressed upon by Zest to try and disrupt the free angle. Keep an eye on Stalker, probably going to have to dive onto that backline and maybe apply some pressure to stop MM3 from having the same effect from that point. At the moment, Zest is going to duel Stalker up in Cafe, push through to the backline. Fitz under the pressure again. Where is Zest in this? Getting blown up by Dynamite. As MM3, they're left relatively uncontested. In fact, they then use the railgun to take out Stalker. 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Seoul Dynasty.
But Fitz still survives, gets out of that situation. The Dynamite is what claims Zest in that fight. Amazing positioning from Fitz. And it's like you were talking about before. Zest is going to see Fitz as that target, as he is going to continuously try to narrow down his focus onto Fitz. It's going to be something that we're going to see persistent throughout this game here, as Stalker making his way back now in the hands of the Dynasty. He's going to be able to get right back into the fray. Just getting ready as the Fusion actually try to wrap around that building.
Keep an eye where they are for the time being. Fury going low. Don't let Fury die. You can't let that happen on the entry. Fusion have got their points, got their little piggy toes on the piggy pool. Stalker and Smurf then get 2 kills. Zest turns it back on the Fitz. Seoul Dynasty looking for a lockout. 2 minutes burnt so far. Ults are about to be on the board for the next engagement. They're just milking all the ultimate charge out of the Fusion on the way out.
While Zest has his sights on the Fitz, his entire backline, including M3, just getting denied the space that he needed to get into position to get more impact, is shut down by Stalker. Just putting in so much pressure. Vendane boosting them with the speed boost to allow the rest of Dynasty to hold forward while Zest is separated. Stalker does have that blade here, and Vendane's about to get that sound barrier, so they could use that to engage once Fusion decides to find an opening with Fix and Fury.
Good dash through. Stalker pulls out the blade immediately. He's on presence in front of MM3. Great skid away. Beautiful spacing there to make sure they stay safe against that blade. Aim God will go down to the jagged blade. Stalker has to retreat, get some healing. That blade was enough to scare off the Fusion. They will be re-entering with ultimates on their own, Vicky. 1 minute 20 left on the clock. Good options from Seoul Dynasty to deal with this one. It might come down to an overtime fight to get this over the line.
They're on that pick there too. That's why the Dynasty held on to all of their ults. They knew that they had come on top after that fight. Stalker the only one who used that blade. The Fusion having a plethora of ults to work with themselves. As you can see, MM3 getting into position. The Rally and the Bob getting called in.
Rally, Bob. Zest close to the blade. I think that's what Vindane's going to hold on to now. Smurf has the Rampage. If there's a lineup here on the Fusion, he's probably going to end up taking it.
Another charge right there. Now the big Rampage finding 3. Cost AimGod his life. Fury can try to go for follow-up, but he sees that AimGod's going down. Zest is going to go down there too. Despite MM3 and Fury, though, being able to get these picks, 3 off of the Dynasty, the Fusion now make their way out to the points. MM3, wow, the way that they just try, and without having to use their ults there too, Trey, that's super important because now, even though with their limited time bank, they can actually try to help themselves out in that situation by conserving some of that extra time, by winning the next fight with this next set of ultimates that they have.
Now moving on to the Esports section. Time back already struggling to compare against Seoul Dynasties. Because of where it is, remember, Philadelphia Fusion, if they don't want to fight up against a draw, they're going to have to finish the entire map with over 1 minute, with some time in the bank, basically. If they don't get any time in the bank, it's over. They will have to fight for a draw instead. So we're hoping that happens. See how they progress through point B, though. I have a feeling the Seoul Dynasty are pretty well set up to deny them a capture outside of overtime, though.
See, nice position here for the Dynasty on the top. Vendane having that sound barrier. Stalker getting close to that blade as well, as Zest already has it in his hands. It's Vendane that can save the rest of the Dynasty once Zest finds the opportunity, but Dynasty's pretty spread out in general. You see him trying to narrow down Vendane onto the high ground. MM3 also getting chased down as he walks away from Stalker. Stalker falling a little bit low. Vidame now moving in with the sound barrier to contest Zest in the blade. That's exactly what they were waiting for here. And now this forces Zest to just reposition. It uses up his blade. He doesn't get much off of it. Instead, it's the Dynasty. Huge rampage though now coming in from Fury. It finds 4. It costs Stalker his life. He won't have the blade himself. And now they're going to be able to move into the next fight with some ultimates. But this is a good halt here for the Fusion to actually be able to now get some extra momentum on their side.
I really want Seoul to try and find a way to contest this, but I don't think they're going to have the bodies necessarily. They're going to be too late to go and capture. They should try and regroup, not get stagger killed here, make sure they're all set up nicely to be able to contest on the next one. Time bank extension, really important here for the Philadelphia Fusion. 2 minutes and 42 left on the clock. Blade from Stalker though, huge counter offensive coming out. They need to find something from this, otherwise I'm not sure they should be committing for it. MN3! That's what it is right now. It's so free for them. Profit getting dinked on the way out. They're going to have to go for a reset all the way back at the point C. MN3 has the overclock available for use. But still, Dynasty is sticking with this one. They think they can turn this around. They're throwing Bob into the mix as well, Vicky.
Wow, Bob coming in here too. I mean, they found MN3 in the process. Now you see Stalker backing away. The respect from the Fusion, though, to immediately back off after losing out MN3 without trying to re-engage, waiting for the opportunity here with the spawn point being right there.
One line around the payload. Disrupt shot. A lot of charge here available. 100. I'm surprised MN3 doesn't try and go for a shot in a second. Railgun onto Smurf does miss. Immediately pops into the overclock. Wants that unlimited energy on the go. That's going to dink onto Fitz, will cause them to hide behind the corner. Both these rallies being traded out, though, is going to make it difficult to find any kills in the mix. Fixer has the beat available. Smurf going to be using that rampage. Hopefully Fixer provides a good answer with the sound barrier and doesn't get caught out here.
It's a standoff here with 1 minute 20 seconds. Big rampage and the sound barrier from Fusion to help keep them stabilized. Smurf tries to go in, but that costs Profit and Fitz their life. MN3 and Zest basically harassing the backline here. Fury doesn't get much off, rather Smurf doesn't get much off of that Jagged Blade and instead gets cleaned up. The Fusion now have a clear path to that finish line with less than a minute on the clock now for them.
They just need to cause out overtime. They just need to stall it. If they stall it, they at least force a draw. No, they won't be losing it. Good from the Fusion there. They back off a little bit. They give some space. They know they've got the minute to play with, but that is only still a minute. Zest's Blade, going to be big here. Has to be huge.
See, now with the sound barrier, it's going to be difficult, though, for him to be able to find that progress. Gonna have to respect the space. The way that the Fusion are playing so defensively, they know what's going to happen. Yeah, like you mentioned before, Fury's about to get the rampage. He could fully send it into the Dynasty right here.
It's on Fury now. Fury lands a big rampage. There's no support ultimate use. Just finding on the back line. MN3 immediately snipes Profit off the back end of it. 19 seconds remaining. Vicky, they're going to do it with time. Bob is going to stall them out.
Fury heard
has been deleted.
The Fusion managed to do it with less than 10 seconds on the clock here, Trid. Even with the desperate swaps from the Dynasty, it's not going to be enough. MN3 always getting these crucial first picks, though. Even though Fury came in, obviously, with that rampage, landed onto 2, took care of 3. That first pick from MN3 enabled Fury to be able to get in that position to even pop the trigger on the rampage and get set up on the payload.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So, 1 minute in the time bank for the Fusion. 2 minutes and 8 seconds difference between the Seoul Dynasty. Overtime can be a bit of a killer, especially when it comes around to the escort section of these maps. Philadelphia Fusion just need to make a big indentation and get the payload moving. That's where the silliness can begin, and they might be able to force out a match point against the Seoul Dynasty. I've seen a couple of other people joking that potentially that is the ultimate plan for Fusion to be the biggest disappointment, which is go to match point and then get reverse swept by Dynasty. I can still see that happening. But they need to get this capture. Like I said, overtime, definitely make it work. They just need to be able to get the payload moving.
What a Philly thing to happen, especially against a team like the Dynasty. And they already took that first map. Currently up and with a limited time bank, though. Look at this. Dynasty 3 minutes, 8 seconds now. They've been so good on the defense on dwindling away that time bank away from the Fusion, as now MN3 being able to pop off the way that he can. We're going to get into position, avoiding that dynamite from Fitz real quick over to the side.
similar setup to what we saw last time from the Fusion. Let MN3 have a platform for success. This other shot in the back corner. Difference maker could be if Zest managed to take out Fitz. I don't think that's going to be the case here, especially after they've lost Fury. Fast reset here, Fusion. You got one more shot to try and capture this one.
If they can even get there, you see the Dynasty now moving all the way up. Their goal right there, the Fusion's goal, was to isolate Fitz, and the Dynasty were able to react appropriately to that. You saw Zest, you saw MN3 trying to go in for him. Now the Dynasty going to back up just ever so slightly. Less than 10 seconds on the clock now, Trid.
They're going to be able to touch. Well, they should be able to touch anyway. What they do afterwards, especially in a panic state. MN3's on the Widowmaker. I think they're just looking for pick potential. That's it from Widow. All eyes on the Carpe replacement. Grappling them to get forward. That's so aggressive from MN3. They can't make it work. Stalker shuts him down. The time bank is going to deplete so quickly here. Don't allow them to get the 33%. Don't allow them to get any progress whatsoever. Ongoing, the rallies popped by Prophet to reinvigorate the fight. Fury will go over to the Doomfist, cannot connect. Stalker with the cosmetic blade to end it all. 3 minutes and 8 seconds to secure themselves a victory rather than a draw.
MN3 making that swap over to the Widow. You thought you dreamed, but it just stayed as a dream right there. Stalker is too good. He is too good. Getting set up, but also MN3 just understanding how desperate he was to try to get that pick. They really just needed one in that situation here, but the Dynasty, I mean, this is the Dynasty, and their reign has been prevalent for a reason. Now going in, you have no time bank here from the Fusion. The Dynasty have 3 minutes and 8 seconds to work off of them, Trid.
That's entirely achievable, especially if you look at what Dynasty were able to accomplish on their first offensive.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it's a strong enough time bank for Dynasty to be able to get 33% and come out with the map win here, go 1-1 in the series. If we're getting full held, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. We get map 6 out of this one, and I think Dynasty fans probably going to be a little bit of squeaky bum time for them if they can't secure this map victory under these conditions.
The odds are in their favor here. See the Dynasty, though? They're going to roll out with, trying to get some cheeky picks first. Usually going to play this with MN3. Still sticking to his guns, still sticking to the Sojourn. Making some quick swap-ups, though, with Fitz, though. Still sticking to the Ashe. That has been a primary problem, which is what Fusion has been trying to at least isolate.
Themselves up on the high ground for now. Smurf, oh my god, that is not what you want to happen, Fusion. Smurf getting away with murder, quite literally there as Aim God has dropped down. Shout will come out, Zest answers back with Fitz, 2-for-1 trade so far. Man advantage in favor of the Seoul Dynasty. Spawn advantage still quite difficult for them to manage. They're just dropping like flies here, Vicky. That's going to be it, Seoul Dynasty tie out the series.
Wasting no time at that with a quick first pick. Stalker, though? Dynasty looking so good in that second map, telling the Fusion, don't get too ahead of yourself here, evening up the series as well.
There you have it. Seoul Dynasty weren't impressed with having their golden stage ended, able to come back on Hollywood, but the Fusion is still making them work for it. When we come back from our break, we'll be heading over to map number 3, and I think this series has a little bit more gas in the tank.
This Dynasty, don't surprise us, Trid. They come out on top after map number 2, and now we have an even series on our hands. But even the Dynasty reversed Royale, the Fusion like we were talking about before. The Fusion still put a blemish to the Dynasty's perfect record for this stage.
Yeah, that's going to be the one that stings the most, I think, from this one. Especially if the Dynasty somehow kind of keep on the win streak here and get a 3-1 scoreline. That's going to feel rough for them. Like, they're not going to feel happy about it. They were so close to having that golden stage, or at least until they meet the Shanghai Dragons tomorrow, where they were probably going to have a 5-map banger. I can kind of feel that already. But good signs from the Philadelphia Fusion. Not too many mistakes being made so far. I think Aim God getting picked off a little bit early towards the end there basically spelled doom for them. Yeah. However, they're still remaining competitive with a team that we consider, before this series anyway, a couple of leagues above them. So, that bodes well for Philadelphia Fusion fans. Map number 3, we're going to an escort type. It's Circuit Royale. I know there's no E on the end, but I can't help but say
it. I love that was one of the discussions in the early season.
Oh yes,
Circuit
how do we say
Royale.
it?
Yeah, that was like the whole talk. I was always gonna say Circuit Royale. No E. No E. Going to move on.
I think Avril still says Royale as well.
Really?
I think so. He's definitely said Royale a few times with me.
I gotta talk to you both. I'm gonna move on to this escort map here. Circuit Royale. We've seen some pretty interesting comps on this map. Wondering, is MN3? Looks like he is gonna stick to the Sojourn. I'm curious to know how it would look if. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. If he sticks to the Ash. He read my mind.
Well, hang on a minute. They've not left the spawn room yet.
Oh, that is true.
So
I may get baited.
You may get baited. Let's focus on what the Seoul Dynasty you've got. They're remaining fairly consistent right now.
Aim God's trying to distract everybody. He's trying to distract everybody after what happened in that last fight. So it's look at me, I'm a problem. Oh. I did get baited, Trid. Sadness. Well, you know what's interesting though? I was gonna mention, at least here for this map, you have a lot of those long distance corridors where you have the Ash that could get enabled. Fitz, obviously, being on the defense enables Fitz a lot more. Wondering here if we may eventually get the swap over to the Ash from MN3, or Fusion are really sticking to their guns with the Soldier.
I can see them just sticking to their guns. I don't see changing off of it too much. They'll compete quite early on in this first corner, so they are going to put up some resistance on the front line for the time being, try and mitigate how much space the Fusion can take. Look where Zest is going, finding an alternative path over the top. It's right on top of Fitz, as expected. Goes to the chase down, finds the completion as well. Zest, it's opened up the backline to them. Genji getting so much value here, and that's going to win Fusion this first fight and get them a lot of meterage on the point.
Super important here as Vindame manages to scrape away. A little slippery right there for Zest to actually get. Doesn't want to overextend, especially with the Dynasty going to hold its high ground. It's going to be important here for Fitz, who now is going to be on the Soldier themselves. They're going to be able to match that with the Fusion. No more Ash on the table.
He's pretty basic for now. Looking where the ultimate charge tends to go on this one as well. Zest and Stalker, relatively even Stevens for the time being.
Oh,
Fitz,
no.
just find that pick on Fixer though. Oh my goodness,
both of them. Both
there's no support left. What are Fusion going to do now? They're just going to fold over. They're going to crumble like cupcakes. It's all over. Dynasty get to push forward now, get control of the payload. They're sitting around the halfway point of the time bank, just on the apex of that corner as well. Stalker pulls ahead in that blade battle to bring out the Dragon Blade. There's no support options available on the side of Fusion yet. If they run that on tempo, it's not going to be looking good for the Fusion.
Now the Dynasty having Stalker up with his blade. See Prophet is about to get rally. Stalker's just going to dive in to control the high ground real quick right here. You can see the Disruptor shot controlling some space underneath that bridge. Stalker doesn't get the impact that he may want, but it's at least the space that he is able to get for the rest of the Dynasty to hold that corner. But now the Fusion with Zest having his own blade and Aim God having the rally. Fix is about to get the sound barrier. It's going to help out Fusion a lot better.
So after using the time dilation blade, it's time for Zest to use one that actually cuts through physical objects, slicing through Prophet, but Fitz with the shutdown, finds the connection with the railgun, ends the streak at 1. I mean, it's a 1-for-1 trade. It puts them in a great position for Dynasty to be able to still contest this and deny that extension of time. Smurf's been removed from the field, gives Fury time to overtake. This overclock from Fitz is holding down the angle and limiting, but not fully stopping the movement from Fusion to push this forward.
Insane. It doesn't matter if Fitz is on the Ashe, if Fitz is on the Sojourn, getting these important picks now.
Just in time.
With the Sound Barrier now going to be able to help allow the rest of the Dynasty to move up with Smurf. Prophet falling a little low right here too. Now the Sound Barrier from Fixer to keep the rest of the Fusion up alive, and Fury's got the Rampage here as well. 3 down though for the Dynasty, and now the Fusion can hold on to that ult and hold on to that next corner onto the high ground.
Good extension coming out here from Philadelphia Fusion. Very aggressive retake attempt from Seoul Dynasty. You saw how low Stalker got before that beat came in from Dame, and the rest of the team emerged from the bushes. Did force the Fusion to come back a little bit, but they had enough time to be able to give Fixer a beat overlap and a HP advantage moving into the fight. So when they went for the counter, they were able to pick off one of the slower moving members of the team, happened to be Prophet, easy lock up, and then you start trapping members in corners, breaking them down, picking them for all the value on the exit, get the capture, and like you said, you've got the Rampage ready to go. You're going to be matched by Smurf when you come around this corner, who's going to pull the trigger first, finding free!
Oh, the huge follow from Fitz there too, allowing the Dynasty with Dame to speed boost everybody up ahead. They find 2, Zest goes down, Fury goes down, holding onto the Rampage still here, but that was a big fight because the time is going to be dwindling away here for the Fusion. Now Stalker's already going to be able to move up, and Prophet's about to get this rally, so you take a look at Stalker, the way he's going to use this next blade in comparison to what Fusion's going to do to try to actually see if they can force anything out from Dynasty.
Fury gets the time to use their Rampage. Stalker, Smurf, they've been caught up by the anti-heal, but Smurf I think might be the only victim to Stalker is long gone. Smurf will get dropped. Stalker pulling out the blade here in the 4v5. MN3 shuts it down straight away. Zest is free for a counterattack if they even need to use it. But the Dynasty are retreating, scattering like rats right now. 1 minute 43 on the clock. They're about to get onto the home stretch of point B, and they have the rally and the blade to cut through the last line of defense. It's looking good for Fusion to get an extension and stay alive on this map. Rally used by Prophet proactively. They're going to take the aggression to the Fusion.
Disgusting shutdown that we saw from NN3. Now Prophet with the rally, aim got to match that. Zest holding on to the blade for right now. See Zest backing away before rounding up that next corner. The Dynasty so good at disengaging to then re-engage right here. Fitz is about to get, huge right deflect from Stalker onto MN3. Looking at him in the eyes, getting that payback real quick. Now the Fusion, that's going to be the green light for them to back away, but Stalker may not let them back away in time. Now it's Fitz's turn to be able to get enabled here with that disruptor shot, rather the overclock.
Look, fully retreat or fight and try and get an ultimate out. If you get another pick here in sub 1 minute, you're really going to struggle to find a cohesive offense. So play it carefully. They're a fully regrouped unit now. It's time to be able to go and attack. Couple ultimates across the board. But there we go. Overclock being popped by Fitz. Blade from Zest and a beat. They're all being thrown into the kitchen sink right now. And it's Smurf to go down first. Too much pressure coming in from the railgun as Aim God then follows up onto Stalker. Fusion have done enough to get the extension. Sniping the frog out of the sky as well. There you have it. Philadelphia Fusion have made it to the final section of Circuit Royale, and they get the time extension. Now they're trying to play around with these staggered spawns, see if they can find anything extra. But no, they don't want to bite off more than they can chew. They retreat and give Seoul Dynasty a moment to catch their breath.
MN3 with these shots. Another level right now. Fitz and MN3 honestly taking the lead for both these teams here in terms of these fights and these big impacts. Stalker now, to be able to get in position. He's about to rack up enough damage to be able to get that blade, but he gets shut down by MN3 again. That's the disruptor shot controlling that space. Dame also going down. Now the Dynasty have to regroup. They'll be able to regroup with a blade themselves and Smurf's Rampage, but the Fusion right now have taken the lead in terms of the momentum, wrapping around this next corner with Fury having the Rampage to answer back.
With how much impact MN3 is having in this map and in this series, you've got to be asking yourself a question if you're a Fusion fan. Where was MN3 this entire stage? Where was he? Big anti-heal, finds free.
Oh, Prophet gets taken down here, making Fitz now beating him in the spawn. Smurf gets out, and Fury on a Rampage too. The Dynasty out for the count. Look at this confidence as they're going to be able to scoop this payload over to that finish line. Now I'm looking at a Stalker who's making his way right back from the spawn room, but he's got the blade ready to dive in.
Was able to touch and maybe secure out some overtime here. Play from Stalker, as you called it. Anti-heal affecting 4. The rally coming out from Aim God tries to sustain them. Zest goes down. I think Fury escapes their fate a little bit longer. There's 20 seconds remaining. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a counterattack. You can see that Fix is trying to linger to stall it out for more time. But he's been taken out as well. 10 seconds remaining. Someone's going to have to dart through. Who's making the beeline for it? I think they have to send Aim God for it.
I don't think it's going to be able to get done here. He's going to try to at least do it. Not going to work out.
No,
that Rampage and Stalker's blade right there cleaned up everything, but a huge Rampage coming in from the side of the Dynasty.
Vindame just there for extra insurance, using the sound wave to knock back the Brigitte, making sure they can't touch and maybe try and go for a back cap. Really, that was their only play right there. Let's take a look at Stalker. Quick replay on what they were doing on push B.
Here. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's the deflect. Beautiful.
Enemy seen.
That was disgusting. He knew. I mean, that's why we've been seeing Stalker. It's same thing for Zest. He could go back and forth between both of these DPS from both Fusion and Dynasty, but that's why Stalker has been trying to focus down on M3. With the deflex, timing it properly, calling out the overclock. Same here for Zest, especially on that last map on Hollywood. You saw exactly what Zest's game plan was. Isolate Fitz on the Ashe. Now Fitz
Walnuts.
been able to add in some of that extra impact, but M3 answering right back.
Okay, so we're still not going to see the flavor some Fusion fans want to see. MN3's been playing pretty well on the Sojourn, though, so I'm not too worried by the fact that we're not seeing Ashe. Seoul Dynasty probably will run out with the mirror composition as well, but look where Philadelphia Fusion are holding. They're just going right to the front door. Where are they actually going to hold? They surely aren't going to do it right there. Okay, no, they're just going to match them to the left-hand side here, try and pen them at the spawn camp. Oh, they just went to teleporter as well. They weren't even to get the full teleport away.
That was a big call out right there too, and Fitz gets deleted immediately because of that here too. MN3 claiming his head. Stalker's gonna meet him up. The Fusion playing right into the open arms of the Dynasty spawn. And they're just dwindling away some of the extra time, but a very interesting approach right here that the Fusion are taking.
Yeah, this is a really tight spawn camp. They're just trying to match the doors and stop themselves from getting folded on. So they're calling it quite right. You can see there's an off angle being taken by Fitz. Wants a bit of crossfire. What's being used? Profit's really low. Needs to sustain, but Fury gets a headshot. It's going to be so hard to crack this defense. They can't find a singular kill in return. They need to find a trade. Otherwise, this is just going to keep getting worse and worse for them, especially when ultimates start coming online.
MN3 knew that Fitz was over to the side, trying to get an off angle for that crossfire, like you mentioned, and was able to nail down his head there too. Fusion coming out of another team fight win in the Dynasty spawn room. Dynasty taking a different approach, going on the other side. Hopefully they don't see this one coming, but like you mentioned before, Trid, those ultimates are coming online soon. I'm looking at that sound barrier from Fixa.
They need to use it just yet. Both support opens up Philadelphia Fusion before there's even been any meters put on that clock. Pretty good regardless of the outcome of these next fights. You're going to be able to give yourself such a huge advantage when you really dig your heels in. Dynamite thrown out, we'll get some few tips. Fix is going to use the sound barrier, so clearly under pressure here in that corner. MN3 finally finds that first kill, taking Smurf off the board. Just means that they can't even push out at the moment. This is so dominant from the Fusion. They've burnt half the time bank, and Dynasty have not touched the payload yet.
We missed you, M3. Got that 100% on that charge on the railgun real quick here too. Here comes that rally from the Aim God and Profit. Zest does have that blade ready too. Dynamite though, going to be able to add in some extra pressure as the dive goes in from Zest with the blade. He's trying to isolate Vindame. He managed to do it. Vindame at least does have that barrier coming into that next fight, but he gets taken down by Stalker. The Dynasty finally get these trades in their favor, forcing the Fusion to respect them and to actually disengage.
Yeah, but the Fusion have given themselves another fight here, Vicky. Like, if they get caught here, they're going to come back with the Rampage and the Overclock to fight where they took their first real engagement against the Philadelphia Fusion on their defense. This is looking really strong for the Fusion. 1 minute left on the clock, and if Seoul Dynasty lose this fight, which realistically they shouldn't with the state of the ult economy, they probably lose the map.
crazy here, especially Map Fusion looking to go ahead as the bomb gets taken out from Fitz. Here comes the sound barrier from Vindame to help put them into the position that they need to be as the Dynasty are cleaning up shop around the Fusion, wiping them out. They'll have some extra space around this next corner. You could already see Stalker moving all the way up to get into position here. He used up that blade though, and with the sound barrier, it's a rather expensive fight here for the Dynasty.
Even more so when you put it in the context that Philadelphia Fusion didn't really use anything themselves. They went into that quite neutral. That's a trade up for them right now. Yeah, they managed to end up losing point A. Okay, probably would have happened anyway based on where the economy was. You conserve your ultimates, you change your hope for point B. Okay, we've only got 2 minutes 50 left on the clock. Climb up this hill could be a very long 3 minutes. Nice cut through there with the Rampage finding 3. Zest already low, really did not need to get hit by the anti-heal. It's actually Stalker who finds himself on the way down. The Fusion get control of the payload.
Only Fury going down after getting hit by that Rampage. Zest managed to see another day real quick as the Fusion are just backing away. Another Dynamite just to control some of that extra space. Check the Fusion a bit as the payload reaches around the corner. They're going to be able to have enough time though from the Fusion for Fury to rejoin them here on the front lines. As the Dynasty do move on though here, they are about to get that rally online, but it's the Fusion that have wrapped around them in terms of ults now, as the MN3 are looking to find some shots. Does find Vindame, drops down right behind them. You gotta turn to your back or else you're gonna find yourself in the line of sight of MN3 as he cleans up Fitz.
Fitz just had no idea where to look there. That flank from MN3 just really put his head on a swivel in the wrong place. He just ends up getting cut off. 1 minute 55 left. Seoul really floundering on this map right now. Don't tell me they're going to spawn camp him again. Let's just spawn camp him again, Vicky.
Oh no. Look at this here too. They got
Fusion
support already.
Spawn camping the Seoul Dynasty.
This is actually happening right now. Sure, this is insanity. The rally gets popped in for profit just so that way they can leave their spawn room doors. Let us out. This isn't a scene from The Shining now as the Fusion are trying to actually contest this over to the side. You saw that disruptor shot. Now, here comes a sound barrier for the Fusion to move all the way up to help Zest clean things up in the front doors of the Dynasty house. Tearing it all down is MN3. What a performance right now that we are seeing from the Fusion on Circuit Royal.
Time bank burn to the sub 1 minute as well. Do or die time for Seoul Dynasty. Stalker's Blade, Fitz's Overclock, Vindame's Beat. Those are the realistic targets for ultimates that are going to come online. Thankfully, Fusion look pretty dry. Fitz, oh, you may have just saved Dynasty there. That one pick to make a 5v4 opens everything up for them. Your economy's looking pretty strong. Fury does answer back with a Carnage kill, but it's only one in a sea of gold that's being perpetuated in the kill feed.
Take a little bit of a breather for them at least here. Got less than 35 seconds in the clock. Yeah, they needed to get that first pick. That was absolutely huge from Fitz. Now as the Dynasty are going to wrap the corner. Finally, here comes Zest. Going to put in some extra poke pressure. Keep your eyes on MN3 though. Could be a little difficult contesting this choke point right now here for the Fusion if they want to try to burn that through. They're about to get the Rampage, but the Dynasty have a lot of tools in their arsenal to answer back.
Nice slash there. Stalker. Yeah, Dynasty have done enough here. They will get a time bank extension. Still in a position to match this one. You got to remember the completion wasn't able to come in entirely, just shy of doing so, but they pretty much have to finish the map here, Vicky, if they want to win it out.
Basically almost right there, the finish line. Fusion now. Gets set up on the high ground. MN3 is about to get that overclock as well. Those charged railgun shots have just been on another level. Looking great in terms of ult economy. Smurf is right there with Vindame to answer right back though, just in case. Less than a minute now left on the clock for the Dynasty to get this payload moving around that next side of the corner, but they want control of the high ground first here today.
Where's MN3 now? He's on the ground at the moment, I think. He's just staying relative to those payloads. Skeets on by. Got that overclock. I think he's going to try and find a better angle for this one. 2 found with Fury's Rampage. Beats available as an option for Vindame. Smurf probably going to answer back with Nova. MN3 opens up the overclock. 4 members hit. The only person who dodged it is Aim God with that rally. But that's not going to be any good if all your team dies around you. 20 seconds remaining. Home stretch. Fusion are going to have to sprint out of the spawn room for one final clash to decide who gets to add another notch to the scorecard.
They need a rush, but they don't have the rally anymore. It died in that fight, as well as their potential dreams here for this map. Now, Fixa could get that sound barrier, but now they have to deal with Profit in the rally. They have to touch the point now, nearing that finish line currently. Fusion trying to drop down. M3 falls incredibly low. The shot saves it. Oh, he still gets smoked. That's huge here. This could turn things around for the Fusion right now. M3 survives. Zest is about to get Blade. The Dynasty understand that they back up. Oh, they shut him down though. Zest now gets the reflect, manages to catch Stalker for it.
Oh, he's pulled out the Zester.
They're doing it!
They'll make some fine flavor for the broth. The Fusion go to match point against the Seoul Dynasty. They were able to break the golden stage, not once, but twice. And they are on the cusp of securing a victory against a team we considered a cut above the rest.
Are you kidding me right now? How close these games have gone. Not just between our last series trade with the Valiant, but now with the Fusion versus the Dynasty, a team that was unstoppable before this series. Fusion currently sitting at match point.
It's
insanity.
Unbelievable effort coming out from the Fusion. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, match point, Fusion could be our final attempt as we head over to Colosseo.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, if you are just waking up, you are seeing the score right. The Fusion currently are sitting at match point versus the Seoul Dynasty, the team before this series that looked unstoppable in this stage. They had not lost a single map. I believe they're up 12-0 before the series began. Currently, that's not the case, with the Fusion now sitting 2-1.
Yeah, kind of played spoiler to their golden stage, unfortunately. Fantastic performances from the damage lineup of the Philadelphia Fusion. Zest having a great game on Genji. MN3, who's been in since from the start of the match, which is a bit of a change of what we've historically seen from the Fusion roster. Typically, you see Carpe in, and then MN3 jumps in as a substitution on certain maps, but certainly proving a case for why they should get more playtime with this roster. Had some fantastic accuracy, some beautiful Sojourn right clicks to end fights before they even start. That's what you want to see. Amazing pick potential. As we move on to Colosseo, though, I keep harping on about this earlier on in the night. Push is about consistency. And if we can see Fusion play like they did on Circuit Royale, they can probably close out the series here, Vicky. And that would make a lot of Fusion fans happy, because that makes the likelihood of them making it to the tournament stage of the Summer Showdown that much likely, heading into their final match of the stage against the Spark tomorrow.
Imagine, just imagine, the Hunters getting denied another opportunity. Oh, tragic. But for Fusion fans, they are happy, jumping for joy, wondering, MN3, where have you been? Where have you been with this Sojourn popping off? Let's get started here, Trid. Seen some pretty chaotic push maps so far throughout the day. Now we're going to see if we get another one in our hands right now.
They'll sprint over to the center, as expected. Fitz and Van Dame going off on the off angle. So there's a nice little split coming in here from the Seoul Dynasty, where they're just able to go off the way from the point. Doesn't unlock for another 10 seconds. They've got the luxury of time to mess around outside before heading into the dark and dangerous tunnel where things get kicked off.
Just getting set up here. Just backing off just a bit. Always trying to get ahead. Zest is taking the high ground before the Dynasty are finding this skirmish with the bot in the middle. Colosseo just have one of those short-range skirmishes that you usually see, those standoff moments here, especially between the likes of M3 and Fitz. But right now, it's Stalker and Zest taking this duel over to the side before. See, Stalker just backing up, boosting into those support roles.
Nice attempt there. Try and take Stalker out of the sky. Just a little bit too high that time around. Her movement on this bot so far. No definitive fight win. Zest dives back in, makes themselves vulnerable, gets some healing coming out from the shout. We'll have to back away from this one.
Back and forth.
Not moved yet. The first pick is so important. It's going to dictate who's going to get this early initiative.
Yeah. And look how close Zest and Stalker are in terms of their blade as well. It's insanity. As well as Van Dame and Fixa. It's going to be used to help the engagement. But none of these teams wanting to overextend for all the right reasons, just like you mentioned before, Trid. It's that first pick that's going to matter everything here.
They're just perpetually rolling for initiative, and they keep landing on 10s. Like, they're just landing on the exact same score every single time, keep slipping back. No one's just putting themselves forward. And they feel like this will actually come down to a race to the ultimate charge. And that is unless Profit finds that overly pick on MN3, and the Dynasty actually get the objective to start moving.
Wow, this is a great look here.
Or not.
Now, oh, wait a minute. Here's Zest going to be able to trade that, though. Stalker and Zest trade both their Brigidas, but it's the Dynasty that have that number advantage. Van Dame also using that sound barrier as well as Fixa isn't going to do justice for Fusion in this case. Instead, it's the Dynasty that get to reap the rewards of utilizing not only those ults, but they're about to get the second round of, or rather their next round of ults between Profit, Smurf, and Fitz.
Nice little charge forward. Very surmountable distance. So I'm not too worried on Fusion so far. Fitz is about to get the overclock online. And Zest has just been removed before the fight even begins. Look how quickly the Dynasty are to act on that. They get the pick and they're like, okay, surround the bot, let's get it moving, boys. And they just keep the progress coming. Fix has been found out as well there by Stalker. And the Fusion are just starting to crumble a little bit too much for the time being here, Vicky.
play this patiently here. You see Aim God's got the rally. Fury's about to get the rampage as well as Evan3 with the overclock. Evan3 does have that high ground here. As you see, Fitz now going to use the overclock himself. Dynasty using a plethora of ults currently to match that with Fixa, as well as Aim God with the rally. Here comes Fitz, though. He is looking for the opportunity here. Big rampage, though, actually cost Aim God and Fury their lives. Evan3 got caught in the carnage there, too. He gets taken down, and another team fight win from the Dynasty over the Fusion, trying to put a stop to the fact that they're sitting at match point.
We asked for consistency at the start of this map, Vicky. It was more in the context of Fusion being consistent. Actually, the consistent fight wins are coming from Seoul right now. They don't seem to be losing a fight at all, not missing a beat whatsoever. Got themselves the first checkpoint, the forward spawns, typically a pivotal point for this type of map. They're at 94 meters as well. This typically becomes quite difficult to turn around.
Wow.
MN3 starting the counter-attack with the railgun. Zest dives in with the double cut down, the resets are there, and Fixer will clear out Stalker. Finally, the Fusion are able to get some mobility, but look at the distance they have to push the bot just to start gaining progress themselves. That sets up Seoul Dynasty nicely for a solid defense and to deny any progress if they want to.
But look at this, though. 94% are ready for the Dynasty. Even if they try to just play it neutral again here, where they take their time to build into those ults, they're great just delaying it here. Stalker has that blade, he's going to be able to dive in. Currently trying to find Aim God, does so successfully. You can see Aim God getting taken down here with the help of Smurf. Now the bot's going to be able to move over to the other side while Zest also has the blade in his hands. It's the Dynasty, though, that get taken out here. Zest diving right into the front lines. So consistent with MN3, always getting that first pick to allow Zest to pop off.
So begins the Fusion's march forward with their bot. Probably need 2 more fights to match the distance the Dynasty have already laid out. That's fine though, they've got the blade to work with, they're going to have the beat as well. They're running up against the Vindane beat. Early pickoffs are going to be so important here for both the Sojourns. Fitz and MN3 need to keep their heads up, need to be able to find those opportunities. B being used aggressively, it's going to match immediately for the Zest blade. Smurf's been taken out, MN3, his aim is true and he takes out Smurf, follows up on the Prophet for Zest to clean through. Fitz will find a conciliary prize against MN3. But for the most part, it's another fight win for the Fusion. They should be able to get this bot over to the checkpoint. And it's so important they got the healing there to stop a removal of Fitz.
Nothing big there, though. MN3 is always the cherry on top to allow Zest to go in here. Dynasty, though, have a plethora of ultimates to answer back with. Bot going right back around. See Fitz with that overclock. Here comes the rally from Prophet as Fitz is going to try to take a high ground position. Aim God with the rally too. They've unfortunately lost out MN3 with Stalker dashing right into them.
Big gun, been removed. Big dog on campus, no longer around the Colosseo. Aim God, going to be taken out as well. Fairly rudimentary here for the Seoul Dynasty, and now they get to go on the pushback. Still maintaining in a very dominant position, Vicky. 94 meters to 42. They won't be able to really extend their lead, and they're just going to push this bot so much further away from Fusion being able to gain progress. But I'm not going to rule them out. I've learnt my lesson from earlier in the day, because we saw what happened with about.
Now we have the blade coming in from Stalker, slashing away at Aim God. MN3 going down again early in this fight too. The Fusion kind of losing their footing in terms of some of the early part of these team fights. In the last 2 team fights, at least, for the Dynasty. And this is great news for them and for Fitz to clean them up, because now they're going to have some of that extra progress. Look at where that push bot is already going to. And you have 2 minutes and less than 50 seconds now on the clock.
Just about on that home stretch as well. What a statement of a mental killer moving into the final map if Dynasty were to finish it by capping. They don't need to. They've got about 70 meters worth of difference over the position map. Pretty solid to be in the context of the push map. And they could just take multiple fights before there's an opportunity for Fusion to gain progress of their own. Using that overclock to the side, has a flank, won't find true aim. MN3 takes out Vindane. Gonna have that rampage cut through from Smurf. Finds the backline of the Philadelphia Fusion, takes them both out by himself. And it started to look shaky there for the Dynasty, but Smurf says no. Stalker says no as well. I thought I was going to say something more extreme there. Thankfully, I caught myself. but no, it's a good response there from the Seoul Dynasty. Get the ball back on this home stretch. A couple more fights, and they can potentially look to the cap. They are running into a lot of fusion ultimates, though. I don't think they're going to get much from this next push.
See if they have that opportunity. The Dragon Blade from Smurf was so strong there. He got 2 just off of that repositioning ability. Now here comes the Blade, here comes the Shout, putting Zest into that position here too. Vixen's got the Sound Barrier to help restabilize him. Wanted to get a lot, but MN3 is the one that does it for him here. It's a support lineup of the Fusion, or rather the Dynasty that get taken out as MN3 claiming Smurf while he's at it. MN3 on another level to clear out the Dynasty. I mean, they desperately need it here, Trin. Look at this, 114.38 meters in favor
Very
for
flashy.
the Dynasty. Flashy, but like, look at this time bank as well. Less than a minute and 15 seconds on the clock.
I was going to go on to say, Vicky, it's all very flashy. We're looking at some mechanical greatness coming in from MN3, but still a long way to go in terms of what actually wins them the match, which is the objective itself. They're being caught in the middle here. 60 seconds remaining after you repeated fight wins. Stalker so low that V couldn't have come any later for Vindane to save him. Rips out the Blade, doesn't have the healing, and MN3 shoots him out of the sky, ending the Blade early, pops the overclock to find Vindane, and again, MN3K for Philadelphia Fusion, get the team kill and keep this bot moving. They're going to hit that checkpoint, Vicky, but I feel like this is going to come down to overtime, and I do not want to have deja vu of earlier where it just goes on an insane comeback in the final moments of a push map. Fusion are so nearly at the point where they can challenge this and get to that map win against the Seoul Dynasty. But Fixer being taken out by Fitz is not the way to do it. They answer back with Profit. Vicky, this could still go either way.
But they lose out on MN3, the one who's been doing so many of these plays. Zest gets taken down next, and now with nobody to touch, we got an even series on our hands. We got a map 5 trade. The Fusion aren't going to take the Seoul Dynasty far out from Colosseo yet. It's going to be Busan that comes up next. But wow, what an ending right there for the Dynasty to clear things up. Notice it was MN3 who fell down at the very start there that allowed the Dynasty to get a lot more impact in that side room.
Look, there are 2 ways to look at this perspective here, Vicky. If you are a Fusion fan doomer, you're going, they took us to map 5 just to disappoint us. If you are a Fusion fan believer, enjoyer, Chad if you would, you probably sit here going, all right, map 5, we pushed them this far, let's go over the limit, let's close it all out. Final map of this series, without a doubt, and the final map of the Eastern region today, it's going to be Busan. I'm sure it's going to be a corker. Join us after the break and see if the Philly Fusion can take down the Seoul Dynasty.
Welcome back, everyone. We have an even series on our hands. Another one, the second one here in the APAC region. It's been quite a day here, and I'm excited because we have a map 5 between the Fusion and the Dynasty.
Yeah, Fusion pulling out a couple of map wins here just to get themselves to a spot where they can claim a map 5 against the Seoul Dynasty. Busan's going to be our final destination. We've already ended Dynasty's map win streak that was consistent before they went into the series. They were at 12-0. Immediately became 12-1 because Fusion took map number 1, which is a great start for them. But we're now looking to move in to Busan to close it all out. MN3 has been a big difference maker for Fusion in this series. They, like I said, they're usually not the starter. Carpe usually has that responsibility, but they've stepped up to the big plate, having serious impact with the Sojourn, which once again is a breakaway from convention from what we see MN3 play on that Ashe typically. Lots of variation from the Fusion roster. It's paying them dividends right now. They have one last obstacle for them to remain competitive for Summer Showdown qualification tomorrow. They win here today, they're looking pretty good against the Spark tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll have some breathing room against the Spark. Even then, just being able to take 2 maps off of the Dynasty, really good news here for the Fusion and for you Fusion fans at home. Dynasty already guaranteed in, obviously, like we've mentioned before. Them and the Dragons, as well as the Charge, looking fantastic. Getting set up here on map number 5, though. MN3, where have you been? I have to ask this question time and time again because the way that MN3 played that last map, despite them not winning, still was on another level here. Dynasty, though, with Stalker and Fitz have also been very scary. Smurf really helping enable the rest of the Dynasty, specifically allowing Stalker to get into that position from the shower.
Corner here. Smurf just gets some healing before he's going to expose himself again. War has come out. Carnage swings, doesn't have a miss. Prophet down low. Fury going to draw first blood of this final map. Philadelphia Fusion will go ahead and trade out once more. Vindame finally ending the reign of terror. Stalker cuts down Zest. This is good for the Dynasty to start pressing back. MN3 relatively safe by the 2 kills in the fight so far. Vindame, the little lethal froggy, able to get himself round to that point. 2 final blows puts him at 63%. Leaps and bounds above what you'd expect from Fixer. And the Dynasty get that first cap.
Getting some of those cheeky picks at the very start right there. And now MN3, though, still was able to take down one before, or rather after getting taken down with the Disruptor shot. Doing so much of that damage, that quick damage just slows you down. Stalker, though, finding Fix is absolutely huge here for the Dynasty. Especially since they're the ones on that point. Here comes that shout. Here comes Fury going down as the rest of the Fusion back to the drawing board. It's back to them getting a reset with the Dynasty taking another team fight.
Strong position for them. Strong statement to be made at the first clash of this final map. 33% and climbing. Like we said, Vindame still has that advantage with the ultimate. Stalker has also gone way ahead of Zest so far as well. Expect Seoul Dynasty to have the luxury of ultimate in their bank. If they play them on tempo, they can get a couple of good fights out of them still and push this map percentage to a very awkward position for the Philadelphia. Stalker going to use that blade in the corridor and will dash forward to kick things off.
Zest loses his life from Fitz right here. Vindame's just going to hold on to that sound barrier. It's about the space here for the Dynasty and the time dwindling away from the Fusion to try to get to that point. Here comes Fitz. He's got the overclock ready. Just trying to charge up that railgun. The Dynasty looking fantastic here as the Fusion take their time to regroup. Zest also getting ready with that blade. He also has that rally coming in, and as well as the sound barrier to try to push into that point.
Still fighting over the high ground position. There's the rally from Aim God. It's an early trigger pull. Fitz opens up the overclock. Creates some space between them and Fury. Doesn't want to get in the face of the Junker Queen. Goes down low though. I think they got a shot back from MN3 in the Carnage. Zest now sitting on their blade. Damage ultimates online for Fusion. Final fight territory. They need to come out with a dub here.
Here comes Zest though, and with the sound barrier, he's going to be able to dive right in. Fitz falling incredibly low, but both the Dynasty support lineups between Prophet and Vindane answer back. Sound barrier and the rally. MN3 still fights these 2 pigs, but it's not enough. A trade for trade as Aim God and MN3 get taken down. The Fusion still surviving on the point. The Dynasty with overtime ticking away. They're looking to clock this in, and Smurf is still alive, and he's also got that Rampage ready.
Actually
he's
committing
found
into that
3.
fight as well, Vicky. Like on the back end of the fight, his whole team isn't there to capitalize. But Smurf finding 2! He's done enough for his team to get here with the advantage. MN3 will end the reign of terror once more. Zest able to cut through Vindame as well. Philadelphia Fusion, despite being put so far on the back foot, they're able to come in, claim space, claim the point at 99%, get the flip and a team kill.
Dynasty used the Rampage for that though, but Smurf delayed as long as he could to allow the rest of Dynasty to roll back in, but Fusion basically doing the same thing, except this time around, they're about to get their new set of ultimates online. Fury's about to get the Rampage. Zest about to get the Blade again, just trailing Stalker just by a bit. Aim got as well with the rally here. As you can see, Fury's got the Rampage ready and online. He's hanging out by the side room here. Smurf gonna be able to get caught off guard. Actually getting the Rampage onto Fitz and Smurf. This could spell doom now as Fitz gets taken out, Smurf gets taken out. And this is great for the Fusion because 99% for the Dynasty means that the Fusion need to get a little bit more aggressive here. Window away more of that time away from the Dynasty so that way they don't get onto that point next.
Should be in a pretty solid position though, Vicky, I think. Until Dynasty will be running into an ult disadvantage, so it's a little bit of cycling required by the Fusion to maintain this position. I think Stalker's going to want to try and find MN3. If Stalker can shut down MN3, there's not much the team is going to be able to do about this one. Playing on the front line a bit. Smurf under the cosh. Zest pulls out the blade, cuts down Smurf with the help of Fixer. And this is where it starts getting dicey for the Seoul. They were at 99%. Very expensive fight for the Seoul Dynasty, relying on both the Rally and the Dragon Blade. No real response from the Seoul Dynasty, sorry. And they will be looking to come back hard. Now, look at this Fusion. They're being sneaky. They're waiting around the corner. They're going to try and delay this even more. Push this to 99%. Prophet does not escape the Shuriken. And here comes Stalker with the Blade.
Has to shut them down, has to force his way out of his own spawn again like we've seen before in the series. As AimGod gets taken down, so does Fury. Smurf gets to survive with a sliver of health, and they're going to be able to make their way back to the point. 99% now tied between the Fusion and the Dynasty. Overtime ticking away, but what a way to make this comeback from the Fusion.
Yeah, get the clap back. Beat from Fixer. Rally from Prophet to tie out. Vindane using the ultimate overlap to give Seoul Dynasty the edge in this round. We're on downtown. The overclock rings true. 2 shots, 2 kills. Looking for MN3. He will find it, and Fitz sends them to bed. Downtown is Seoul Dynasty's. It's their territory. It's their operating region. And they will claim it as we move on to round number 2.
And Fitz's agility course there too, as well at the very end to clear out the point there. Quite literally going down to the wire like our last series, Trid. I would not have it any other way, even with the time difference. I don't care. I love seeing the Fusion put a stain to these records. They took a map off the Dragons last week. Now they're here. Match point tied with the Dynasty. The Dynasty did take that first round though, and they are looking like they are dominating right now. Specifically, Fitz and Smurf.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Sanctuary, our second destination. Fitz opting for the Ashe on this one. MN3 just trying to see if they can get a cheeky shot. No, they're going to stay on the Widowmaker with this one.
Huh.
I mean, look, I can call back to watching Jimmy do this on Sanctuary and having unreal effect. MN3 has no doubt having, like, cracked aim. If they can find the picks, it's such a powerful and potent option for the Fusion to implement here.
Shane gets that one hit onto Smurf. Can we see another click real quick? CMN3 just trying to get into position, trying to find the opportunity. Missed that shot onto Fitz, but gets Stalker! There's that pick you want here for the Fusion. MN3 is also not getting checked over to the side. Finally, Vindame focuses on him, but now he finds Fitz. He finds 2 off of the Widow pick here. Can he find a third? Oh, trying to get cheeky with an angle as Stalker makes his way back from the spawn. Fitz is going to make his way back on the Sojourn, saying no way on the Ashe this time around.
Yeah, the Sojourn change comes in, reserves a little bit of the ultimate charge still because of the recent changes. But if MN3 can just find 2 picks in a fight, that's the value you need, even if they end up losing their life. Smurf put to a third HP before the fight begins because of that shot. Like, you're running into a meta right now with no shield, and he just finished him off with the assault rifle. Vindame's flying at him. Where's Stalker? Stalker's got to be next to step up to the plate.
MN3, I can't right now. Zest getting Stalker now. He's still going unchecked over to the sidelines, trying to get an off angle. Doesn't want to get isolated. Is going to be able to reposition as Zed's going to be able to dive in. Doesn't have that blade, but is building up for it here. See, Aim got also close to that rally, as well as the Dynasty here. They've just been pushed back. What a difference we are seeing right now between the first round into the second round.
Yeah, wall hacks, really hard to approach if you're not holding a shield. Swerve will take a little bit of damage, but not as much as Prophet did on the entry there. Look at the back. Look how far away MN3 is playing. Got a good angle on this entrance point. Has to reposition though, the sightlines change. Go to the point, they're in this final fight territory. Stalker taking a body shot, pulls the deflect immediately. Fighting over the jump for the time being. Fitz finds Zest!
Big right here, but they trade up Dane. Dane won't be able to build up into that sound barrier. Prophet's going to answer back, losing out on that one member with the rally trying to keep everybody alive. M3 finally gets taken care of by Fitz and that disruptor shot. The Dynasty have the number advantage now. AimGod getting taken down with the rally, but this is good news for the Fusion because they're just going to be able to re-engage after getting to 99% trade with a plethora of ultimates of their own.
Look, I don't even care that MN3's just changed off to the Sojourn. That Widowmaker was critical in getting them to 99%. They'll reserve a little bit of their ult charge. They're coming in with 3, borderline 4 ultimates to try and counterattack. One good fight is all they need to take us to Mecha Base.
All the way down for it. Here, Stalker's about to get the blade. See Zest also having the blade to match that. Looking at Fixa and Vindane currently, but it's Fusion that have the support ultimates in their favor with AimGod having the rally versus Prophet. Here comes Soundbeard to deny that. Fitz as well with the overclock. Here comes Zest trying to swing around the Rampage, finding 3 now. Despite Fury about to get the Rampage himself, he can answer right back to try to secure this. 99% again in favor for Fusion, but he wants to hold on to it until right now. 3 getting caught by it. Finds Stalker,
they've done
finds
it.
Fitz. That was absolutely huge on the Rampage, all because the Dynasty right there had used their only tool to help sustain that because they wanted to deny Zest Blade, and now they're going to be able to take us to a round 3 trade. Fusion evening things out here against the Dynasty.
The higher you climb, the further you fall. Fusion fans on the edge of their seats right now. Disappointment or greatness awaits them on Mecha Base. All this build-up, all this fighting in this series. They denied the golden stage. They've taken so many maps away from Seoul Dynasty, pushing them to the absolute limit of a map 5, and now it's come down to round number 3. MN3 had the sneakiness to be able to play the Widowmaker, a critical hero choice when it came round to that previous round. They are not going to be able to pull off similar shenanigans here. They'll have to face them in the mirror. Fusion are on the cusp of doing what so many teams have failed to do so far this stage, and they can set themselves nicely up for a showdown tomorrow to get themselves to the tournament.
I cannot believe this right now. Fusion so close, but not close enough as Fitz is going to be able to get that pick onto Fixa. So that's huge here for the Dynasty to start making that momentum early on. Stalker's going to be able to clean up. Zest is going to retaliate, but the number advantage is still in favor for the Dynasty, and it continues to climb here as the start of this round has opened up.
Unreal from Fitz in that fight, doing most of the work there when it came to final blows, cleaning up the Philadelphia Fusion, netting themselves a ridiculous amount of ultimate charge to bring that first overclock to the table. Point capture going over to the Seoul Dynasty. Philadelphia Fusion going to have to aggress. It's a little bit harder from here now that it's not a neutral fight, but they should be able to make an indentation still, especially if they can capitalize early on in the round.
Here, Dynasty trying to call out that rotation over to the side here. Fitz going to have enough of that space as well as deny them space with a disruptor shot in that entryway. Zest having to back off, taking a good amount of that damage. They're going to be able to move in right now off of that shout. Back inside that side room here, Trid.
They're so tight right now, they're just so condensed. It's really hard to split up, try and find some of these individual moments of brilliance. MN3 does their best to answer back with 2 kills, so they took that off angle and was able to separate from Seoul Dynasty, but most of the team is just getting crushed in the main offensive.
Very similar to the outcome that we got to see in that first round currently. 53% and climbing, favor for the Dynasty. Stalker's about to get that blade. Ult difference here between Zest and himself here too, because he's going to be able to have this blade, and as well as Fitz with the overclock. Angad does have that rally to help them out here as ultimate is online for Fitz. Look at his patience here from Fitz as he's going to be able to take to the high ground. He's got the overclock and see if he has the opportunity to find to Fusion. He finds MN3. That's a huge pick here. Seeing the impact that MN3 has had. Zest as well. They're going to be able to go down as Dynasty. They use the rally. They're going to be able to burn 2 of those ults, but that's fine. They still have the Rampage. They still have the Blade. And they're about to get the Sound Barrier for this next last fight territory.
Yeah, we're at the 90% plus zone. Zest has a Blade, MN3 with the overclock. There's a couple of answers left from the Seoul Dynasty. Any picks here in this final movement will spell disaster. And it's so volatile on the entry with both of these Sojourns. Fitz and MN3 play fantastically this series, and MN3 delivers when Fusion need it the most. The first pick to take him off. Smurf comes back, and he finds a second headshot. MN3 dancing around the arena, sending the railguns in. 2 kills was all he could provide, but key players were removed off the map. Is his gift enough for the Fusion to get the flip here?
Zest have the Blade, and he's going to be able to dive in, but he doesn't have the sustainability now until Fixa pulls off the Sound Barrier. Fury's also still right there. They're going to be able to delay it as Fixa goes down, and so does Zest. That only leaves Fury. The Dynasty, they clean up the Fusion, and they take the win versus the Fusion. What a series we have with the Fusion. We're so close, Trent. They were right there taking us even to a round 3 situation.
99% accrued, Vicky. Even if MN3's gift of 2 kills was enough for the Fusion to turn that fight, they still had a huge mountain to climb because of how dominant Seoul were on the opening of Mecha Base. The Fusion, they made Seoul work for it. That's the first time the Seoul have had to go beyond 3 maps this stage. That is an accolade in itself for the Philadelphia Fusion. Does make things very difficult in terms of their qualification for the tournament stage. But when it comes down to it from the Seoul Dynasty, we have to pick a player of the match. Smurf really came alive at the end there. Fitz had some amazing pop-off moments. But we have to give it over to Stalker, who will be our player of the match for this last series of the Eastern region today.
Fitz really popped off in that last game, but Stalker just made his presence known from the very beginning there too. Matching that not only with a player of the caliber of Zest and his prime here, even getting 1K in this series, matching that, being the first player, I believe, in the East to get 1K on his record. But Stalker was just on another level here for the Dynasty, really complimenting the team. There's honestly, Smurf, Vindame, everybody from the Dynasty just had such a great series here. The fact that Fusion was able to take this team to a Game 5 situation, Trid, this is the same team that went to Game 5 against the Valiants. They lost to the Hunters in a clean 3-0. They lost to the Charge. You know what the difference maker here is? MN3 making his way into this, and Stalker also holding them back. Look at this, 123 eliminations in the series. Insanity with 49
just in this series alone.
Wars. Yup.
Put it in the context, right?
It's insane.
Put it in the context of this, Vicky. We just celebrated. We celebrated Zest's 1000th elimination, and that's taken the entire season so far to get to that point. Stalker puts in over 10% of that in one match. Unreal.